The first question to ask when trying something new in advertising is it really different? When it comes to best version media, the answer is yes, and in a big way. Our different approach is what makes us one of the fastest growing privately held media companies in the United States, with growth last year of over 280%. We have over 50 publications nationwide with thousands of advertisers. And here's why we're different. Other mediums try to impress with irrelevant, antiquated terms such as cost per thousand. That used to make sense when each town had 3 TV stations, 5 radio stations, and a newspaper. But today, it's irrelevant. The internet, cable, satellite, smartphones, and iPads make targeting way more relevant than it's ever been in the history of advertising. We target effectively where others can't. We did something unexpected. We combined an old idea with a new idea. This combination has given us the nicknames the Facebook and the Craigslist of print media. We use a social media micro-targeting approach, but we do it in print form. Here's a metaphor to illustrate. A jeweler who specializes in engagement rings meets with a cost per thousand focused seller. He wows the jeweler by saying he can give him an audience of 100,000 people for only $1,000. The jeweler grabs the great cost per thousand, only to find out that the ad goes to retired people who live 2 counties away. Then, along comes a different advertising solution. This gentleman openly shares that his price is 2 times higher and that he can only get the jeweler in front of 500 people, or 1/2 of 1% of the previous rep. Sounds like a bad idea. Until the rep explains that all of the 500 are men earning over $150,000 a year who are about to ask their girlfriends to marry them within 30 days. That ad campaign is a sure hit, reaching its prime market. So with that in mind, here's how we're different than other mediums. Newspapers and other print companies who provide commodity information are dying. No news there. Why subscribe to something you can get for free? Cable, radio, regional, and citywide magazines splash a message way out beyond usable reach, failing to target effectively. And wow, the cost. But we provide high-end glossy magazines to specifically targeted subdivisions, communities, and villages, along with other niche markets. Then we feature a family from that subdivision on the cover of each magazine, making it irresistible. Our readers all say the same thing. I always read the magazine because I know the person on the cover, or even if I don't know them personally, I know they walk their dog in front of my house. In fact, an independent village surveyed the readers, showing that 89.4% of the people who receive the magazine read it, and the content was rated in 3 categories. Each one had a 92% or higher favorable rate. We also provide free classifieds to all of the readers, including sections for kids and parents to share ideas, all with their neighbors. So our core story isn't simply a facade, it's the theme. We provide magazines by the people, about the people, and for the people. So it's inevitable that the people love them. And that's the key for you as an advertiser. But what really gives it its power is the micro-targeting. Take, for example, a citywide magazine that has a drop distribution, meaning that all the newsprint-style magazines they produce are dropped in stacks for free pickup in front of grocery stores and restaurants. Obviously, most are returned and never read. Others end up under the canary, and the ones that are read by who? Nobody really knows. In one market, a company boasts their distribution of 60,000 papers. So an advertiser, Bob, who spends $1,000 a month, thinks, wow, $16 per 1,000 readers. Then Bob researches his client base and finds out that, like many businesses, 80% of his customers come from a radius of 5 miles or less. He then finds out that only 5,000 of the papers are actually dropped in that 5-mile radius, and that only 20% of those are actually picked up. So his cost per 1,000 from a practical perspective is not $16, but actually $1,000. No wonder that print ad never really worked for him. On the other hand, Best Version Media delivers to 100% of the affluent subdivisions and homes in the area that he wants to reach. The customers get the magazines in the mail, not stuffed into a newspaper box, and bam, 89% are read. Let's do another comparison. Take your standard city magazine. A picture of a cheeseburger on a late edition, before that a well-known plastic surgeon, and before that a coffee cup. Coffee's great and cheeseburgers are good. Surgeon certainly is handsome, but it's really the picture of your neighbor on the cover of a Best Version Media magazine that gets you to open it every time. Next, that standard city magazine is 124 pages, but the Best Version Media magazines are only 12 to 48 pages. So an ad with us is 3 to 10 times more likely to be seen from an objective perspective. And that doesn't even consider the open rate, which could double the likelihood that your ad is viewed by our readers beyond the page count. Then consider this. A typical city magazine sends out thousands of copies to hotel rooms and newsstands where only 5 to 15% of them are actually purchased, and the ones that are delivered to any particular demographic are spotty at best. So your business, spa, agency, dealership, or firm has no real idea how many actual homes in the area you're trying to reach really get the magazines. Any paid subscription magazine, like most city magazines, would be lucky to penetrate 10% of any given subdivision, village, or neighborhood. So let's stack that up. If they reach 10% and we reach 100%, then we're 10 times more effective. Add that fact to the page count and the open rate, and your ad could be viewed by 20 to 100 times a greater audience with the Best Version Media magazine. We deliver all of our magazines via direct mail to every home, ensuring the exact demographic, 100% homeownership, lowest unemployment, and highest discretionary income. Other magazines can only speculate. So some companies turn to direct mail to get their message across. After designing, printing, and stamping their message, they spend between 50 cents and $6 per mailing. Using a lower-end example of $1 per mailing, a company trying to micro-target an affluent subdivision of 1,000 homes spends $1,000 and gets a response rate of typically between 0.25% to 1.5%. But if they put that same ad into our magazines, they would get multiple deliveries with an 89% open rate, which increases the odds of the response rate being higher. But even if the response rate remained the same, they have the advantage of it being received multiple months, making it exponentially better. So when you consider our open rate at 89.4%, the lower page count, and the fact that we're mailed to every home in the target audience, well, then the answer is simple. But there's more reasons why we're a better bang for your buck when it comes to advertising. Recently, a research company found that magazines are the second most desired way for consumers to receive their advertising, way beyond the internet and mobile apps, which actually irritate consumers. In fact, magazines are desired just behind television commercials. But unlike TV, they hold the attention of the reader for as long as she wants, keeping her in control. But many print mediums fail because they don't drive repetition like television. Magazines that come out bi-monthly, annually, or quarterly are about as effective as a fitness trainer who helps his clients work out once every couple of weeks. By the time the first workout gets your metabolism going, it fades and you start over, sacrificing everything you've gained in the first place. But we have monthly publications with varied content that bring the reader back to the magazine as many as 5.5 times per month, whether it's for the feature article, free local classifieds, real estate listings, or local events. The magazine acts as a guide for the month and repeats your message. So we know how to reach the affluent readers who buy your goods. That's why we're one of the fastest growing privately held media companies in the United States. We're experts at what we do, so you can stay focused on being an expert at what you do.